It's 4 p.m. in the afternoon in a very foggy St Peter Port, Guernsey. The Condor Ferries vessel, Condor Islander, is just reversing into its berth. In a few hours' time, I will be making an unexpected trip of adventure from the same spot, where all may not go to plan. And with that, welcome to Carl's Travel Channel, where every journey costs less than £200. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. And always remember, the nearest exit may be behind you. After passing by some Fishy Towels tea room near Guernsey Yacht Club, I decide that today will not be the day for tombstoning, since quite frankly, in this weather, I do not fancy going over there. The eerie, misty fog has only risen slightly from earlier this afternoon, so we better head back into the town of St Peter Port and head to catch our ferry. Without giving too many spoilers away, today did not go how I originally booked and intended it. If you're a Guernsey resident, you could arrive here on one of the local buses also for the ferry terminal. After passing by the incredible historic town church, it was time to head to the Thomas Delarue pub for a pre-voyage drink with the very aptly named Pint of Liberation, which is a good clue to the first vessel we will be travelling on today. Light quickly turned into dark over the church, and it was then time to head straight to the ferry terminal, where I had a little bit of time spare to check out the pre-departure souvenir store, where I needed to buy a fridge magnet for one of my friends. That's it, boarding is ready, and we head down to the high-speed craft, the HSC Condor Liberation. For some reason, you have to walk alongside the craft and then back again into its bows. Back on board, and very lucky, I grab the unlimited legroom seat at the end of the row, which I had earlier this afternoon.
Closing up shortly, way out. ETA into Poole tonight is 22 to 10. Past 10. We're supposed to be on time. Weather conditions outside, we've got restricted visibility, but the sea height is just around half a metre. So we don't expect too much motion. Nonetheless, being a high-speed craft, do take care of moving around the vessel. Just keeping one hand free for the ship to hold onto the handrails and the telegraphs and the shops and the steerwells. And finally, if I can just ask you to please pay close attention to the TV screens, as on departure, we're playing you a very important safety presentation. Thank you.
Followed by one long yard of the ship's alarm bell. Once this is finished, you'll hear the voice of the captain. Please listen carefully to any announcement. Your right eye is stored under your seat. Once you've released it, simply place the left hand over your head. Take the strap around your back and clip it together in front. Pull the strap as tightly as possible and cut away the loose ends. Attach the luggage using a light and the whistle to attract attention. The light is activated automatically when it comes into contact with water. Once your life jacket is on, please remain seated and wait for further instructions. For those travelling with children, life jackets will be given out by the crew. Around the ship there are various emergency exits that will be clearly pointed out by the crew.
With that, we're off, and we head past the very eerie, fog-lit but beautiful lights of Castle Cornet. The lighthouse at the end of the breakwater, where we walked down earlier today. If you have not seen my first video on Condor Liberation, please give it a watch after this one. Here is the ship's island bar, and this is where the first saga would occur on tonight's voyage. Due to the thick fog, as seen, both Guernsey and Jersey airports were closed, so the ship was stuffed to the gills with extra passengers, and also being the last sailing date of the year from Poole on the Liberation, they'd only put enough food on for the original customers. So within about 15 to 20 minutes, all of the food on the ship had run dry. The usual car alarms go off. I was lucky that my friend, travelling with me, decided to go to the cafe whilst I was outside filming these images here, as he grabbed me the last jacket potato and a few other snacks before everything completely sold out. However, that was the least of my problems on today's voyage. I had booked the planned journey for today, as shown on the screen now. You can see the Guernsey to Poole crossing in the evening, followed by a leisurely overnight at the Travelodge Portkey Hotel, and then the early morning sailing tomorrow on the Barfleur. However, not long before the crossing, I received an email from Brittany Ferries that said my sailing had not only changed time completely, but had been moved to the night before, to the times shown here. I guess now you can see what the problem might be. Oh, and another small addition, the route had changed as well, from Poole to Cherbourg to Poole to Caen. So with around a 5 minutes delay already, I had about 45 minutes to run off one ship and straight on to another, checking in and going through security in the meantime. Anyhow, there she is, appearing through the darkness, the MV Barfleur. Frustratingly though, at this stage, I have no idea whether I will make it on board her or not. It was around at this point in the video that, to my surprise, I got a call from Brittany Ferries themselves, and they told me, after I'd already let them know of the predicament in advance, that they were expecting and waiting for me at the terminal. This was really pleasant and really very helpful, and kind of allayed my fears a little at this stage that I would make it. The Barfleur looking beautiful in the stunning evening lights and mist. I am not sure if she is known as the MS or MV Barfleur. If you know the answer, please let me know in the comments below. Right, it was time to leg it off the ship and see what fate awaits. I had to come out of the terminal, back through security, check in, and back again, all within about half an hour. Anyhow, the crux of the story is that, alas, I made it. And sadly, I didn't really catch any of this half an hour process on camera, partly due to the security procedures and also due to me not having a GoPro, which I've now invested in for my more recent videos, which will be coming out next year. After my heart rate begins to slow down, welcome aboard the MV Barfleur. I can honestly tell you I've never been so excited to board a ship, and glad. one other note to add to the story is due to the original sailing being daytime, I now had to purchase a cabin for an overnight stay. Very luckily, Brittany Ferries charged me 50% off at around £50 for one night, and I also even got a sea view room. Anyway, here I am, and let's go and find it. Cabin 8103, and here we are, with 2 single beds and a nice sea view window with curtains. As usual with Brittany Ferries cabins, the beds were exceptionally comfortable. Here is the bathroom, with toilet, wash basin, paper cups, soap dispenser on the wall up there, and the very good shower with curtain, which I always find to be very powerful on Brittany Ferries. And alas, this bathroom was clean, unlike the one on Britain. They really didn't stick around, and despite the huge rush, the ship actually left port around 10 minutes early, and we sail back out again through Poole Harbour into the night. One of my favourite things about this ship was the incredible amount of deck space, and it was perfectly illuminated as well at night. Also, given there was only me and 2 other foot passengers on board, and what seemed like very little car passengers, it was almost like having an entire ship to myself. The Sandbanks ferry crosses the harbour behind as we leave the lights of the United Kingdom. In an incident a few years ago, this very ship, the Barfleur, actually snagged the chains of this ferry, rendering it out of service for quite a while. In my earlier video on the Condor Liberation, I give a good tour around this area during the daylight, so please watch that if you've not done so already. Her huge funnels, which currently have no scrubbers fitted. Apparently they are being fitted this winter. Being a twin funnel ship, I like this symmetrical look, standing at the stern and looking towards her decks. The lifeboats, showing the registration port of Cherbourg, where sadly we are no longer going tonight. And wow, what an incredible symmetrical view from here. The MV or MS Barfleur, there seems to be some contention about this, was built in 1992 at the Massa Yards in Turku, Finland, similar to Normandy, another Brittany ship, which I will be sailing on for my voyage home back to Portsmouth, and a video of course will be out about that very soon. The ship is now the oldest and the smallest ship in Brittany Ferries fleet, although by no means should it be the worst. It was actually built for their subsidiary Truckline Ferries to operate as a freight-only service from Poole to Cherbourg in the 1990s. Apparently, according to an article I recently found, it was extended by 9 metres during its construction phase, so they had space to accommodate an extra 12 trailers. Anyhow, let's head back in the warm and experience what the bar has to offer, because after making this voyage, I need to celebrate with a beer. As usual, very good prices on board, only about €5 for a pint of Heineken, and the bar stayed open for around another hour or 2 after boarding, despite the late time of night. I then head off to make use of the ship being like the Mary Celeste, and do some more filming, whilst there are no passengers around. Here is the ship's cafe, always called on Brittany Le Cafe. I must admit, however, On all my voyages on Brittany Ferries, I've rarely seen this cafe open. I guess maybe coffee culture isn't a common thing for seagoing passengers. I love the way Brittany always have plenty of dining seating compared to the size of the ship. This really is very useful and you're rarely stuck for space. Just through here is the games room, so you can see what it has to offer. Plenty of machines available, from bikes to table, whatever it's called. I then head down towards the central and bow sections of the ship. Here there is some nice free seating for anybody who wants to use it. There's a sign for the kids clubs available on board. And of course, more seating. The duty free shop is off here to the right. And far down at the bow end is the self-service restaurant, where the breakfast will be served in the morning, which I certainly shall be making use of. The prices again here are really very good. A little look at the menu and options available. For those who have got to know my ferry videos, you also probably realise by now I love a midnight stroll on deck to take in the atmosphere, especially when it's cold and misty outside. The exhilarating feeling of the wind out at open sea. I head back down inside through to the lower deck at the stern of the ship, behind the bar. And here we are for one final midnight view of her funnels steaming through the night across the English Channel. Or Marsh, as it is known in French, of course. I think this lower section down here at the far stern is actually part of the car deck, in which case it's very empty tonight. Back inside through the now empty bar at the stern, and to head through to retire to my cabin. It's certainly a lot quieter on board tonight than when Steve Marsh made the journey back in the summer. The lovely sounds of the ship grumbling through the night. And that's it. I am back in my cabin. And one thing I forgot to point out earlier, there's many USB plugs available. After an excellent night's sleep, good morning from the MS Barfleur. Here is a view of the deck plans so I can find my way back to the self-service restaurant. Here we are, ready for breakfast, served between 5 AM and 6 AM French time. Ouch, that's early. I look at the selection of things on offer, and then I tuck in to my English fried breakfast. Costing €11.85. It was worth every penny, and very good. Once again, I really felt like I was the only person on board this ship. Let's head up onto deck for an early morning stroll and to watch our arrival into Caen, not Cherbourg. The lights of the port and the lorry freight area emerge from the mist. I head upstairs and for another walk around the decks to work off some of that hefty breakfast and to find a good spot to watch her arrival. The terminal of Ouistreham, or the port of Caen, slips into view. With that, as the voyage almost comes to an end, it gives me a chance to summarise the Brittany Ferries service. I really felt on this journey they went above and beyond and out of their way to ensure that I got on this ship in Poole. Not only speaking to me on the phone beforehand, but also calling me just as before I was about to arrive there. Otherwise, I simply don't think I would have made it going by the normal check-in times. The comfortable experience and service on board was also very good, and I would highly recommend to anyone. I love the rumblings of the ship noise as she arrives out of the fog into the terminal. You can see the boarding bridges just approaching here. Boarding for foot passengers was not quite yet ready, so they told me just to wait in here at the lounge for overnight passengers. It looks rather nice, however, I'm really not sure I would want to sleep in here for an entire night instead of a cabin, but alas, it is free, I suppose. With that, we're off and we're in France. Welcome to Ouistreham. After taking the foot passengers bus with lively music on board, it was a quick process through customs and I arrived into here at La Terminal Cafe to have a coffee to wake myself up before the delights of the day. Some great models here too, of some Brittany Ferries ships. And with that, we're out of the terminal of the Port de Caen and off to see if I can find a bus into the city. Some information signs here about the local area. And there is the Ibis Styles Hotel, which is the closest hotel to the port. I know Scott from Planes, Trains and Everything likes staying in those. Anyway, let's walk down here as it's a 10 to 15 minute walk to the bus stop. Some nice sights of the canal side along the way with a beautiful old traditional lighthouse. I make it to the bus stop of Ouistreham Port and there's supposed to be one expected in around 5 or 10 minutes time. I'm always a little nervous in these situations, whether it will turn up or not, especially when there is no other passengers waiting. And sure enough, it does. However, they did not accept card on board at all, which is unusual these days for Europe, but the very nice driver luckily let me on board. After only around a 35-minute journey, welcome to the centre or city of Caen, Normandy. They even have a modern street tram network for those who wish to easily get about. Here is the stunning Church of St. Pierre. It really is massive. The church was built between the 13th and the 16th centuries. The spire was sadly destroyed during the Second World War, but has since been rebuilt and is 260 feet high. Of course, not to be missed is Caen's most famous attraction, the stunning Chateau de Caen, or Caen Castle. It was put up in the year 1060 by William the Conqueror. Looking back from its ramparts at the tall church of St. Pierre, I was pleasantly surprised to discover you could actually walk around quite a large section of the castle for free. Let's go for a stroll around inside and take a look. I was also quite pleasantly surprised at hardly any other tourists being here, but then I suppose it was a weekday in November. This gives me a chance to summarise today's whole trip. And whilst I never got to see Cherbourg, I did get to experience much more of Caen than I anticipated to. Not to mention, it was exceptional value for money, cheaper than many UK train fares, and I will put the costings up on the screen very shortly after this final part. I am not sure what all these extra fences were doing here. It looked like it had been recently closed for some kind of large public event. Inside the empty castle grounds was the Museum of Fine Arts. It has an entrance charge of €5 and is open daily, almost year round, being closed for 1 hour for a lunch break, which is rather odd. Here are the costings of today's trip. The Condor Liberation ferry was £29 return, Brittany Ferries Poole to Cherbourg, £26 return, and the extra sea view cabin, which I did not expect, was £50, but it still only takes the total to £105. And with that, thank you for watching Carl's Travel Channel. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.